This is going to be a great video, right? Because publishers sometimes are a little bit naughty. Now, maybe they're not.
Okay, right. So I think this is one of the most viewed news on Valorant News, and we are going to check it out. So let's see.
Welcome back, everybody. Today, this is going to be a great video, right? Because publishers sometimes are a little bit naughty. Now, maybe they're naughty because they're kind of bad, or maybe they just make a mistake and they have a plan where the business bigwigs think, oh, cool, we'll sell this season pass, but the developers are internally screaming, thinking, guys, we can't actually do that. The problem, though, is that means that customers, we get burned. And guess who also gets burned? Big Mr. Gabe. Because if you're running Steam and via incompetence or malice, your devs and publishers are messing around your customers, well, guess what? Now that's your problem. So this is very much a Steam consumer protection story, and it's one that is very Valve, because they've not went and hired a small army, right, of enforcers who are going to be patrolling Steam. No. Valve are a games design company, right? Now, the thing is, Steam, the actual platform, well, it's game designed. They want to incentivize behaviors that are in their best interest. And that means, yeah, things that mean that customers feel comfortable purchasing, but it also means developers and publishers acting right. So let's get into this. Today's story is all about selling an idea, selling a promise of future content and how it goes wrong. What's cool though, right, is the last few times we've covered Steam stories, especially policy ones, it's Valve being forced by some sort of outside influence. As an example, there were the terms of service changes, which basically were to try to comply with a Californian law. There was all of the stuff with the big class action lawsuits, and that was all Valve responding to external stuff. But here, this is Valve designing their own game, changing the rules, and it's all about the battle passes. Now, this was first spotted by Paweł Janik, who is the Steam DB.
Okay, so if for an outsider, right, like for me, I'm an outsider for this kind of news, right, because I'm not so familiar with all this market and what Steam, so like, I'm not so clear about the role of Steam in the gaming industry, but I only know it's as a platform for the publisher and developer to sell games, right? To publish their game. It's just a platform. But right now here, what he said is Steam is trying to take action into their own hand, and by that it means they are going to change some rules that is going to protect themselves even better and push more responsibility back to the publisher. Because I think in the past, from what he said, right, in the past, maybe Steam got burned by the publisher or developers' bad action that is trying to scam the players' money out of the game. And maybe they're going to try to abuse the Steam's 2-hour no question asked refund policies, which they make only the first 2 hours of their game will refund. Then after the first 2 hours, then it all becomes shit, right? So that's like a scam. If I'm Steam, right, that is a scam in my eyes, right? So maybe that's why they're now trying to do something more. How try to say, they can have more authority over the developer and publisher on their platform.
Guy who does awesome work over there. So what they've done is they've changed their policies on how season passes work. And for the sake of simplicity, so that we all understand what Valve actually means, here is how Valve defines them. A pack of current and future content, brackets DLC, that customers...
A pack of current and future content that customer can buy with a single purchase. Let me think about it. A pack of current... Okay, can buy with a single purchase. Then multiple purchase, okay?
Customers can buy
current or future. So future means season pass. Okay.
The battle passes where you've got to unlock rewards through gameplay, and like individual DLCs, those don't actually count here. What counts is when you buy a season pass, right? A whole package of things that is purchased before all those things release. And what's really cool is that we have got the full policy document,
Oh,
all of Valve's demands and requirements that developers and publishers have got to
this
meet.
seems like a
And
lot
on
of
face value,
requirements
this
for the
absolutely looks like
publisher
a
and
humongous win
developer.
for consumer rights. But as
Yes,
always, it gets
I think that's
far
a
more
big win.
interesting when we
I think that's a very big win for the consumer if Steam, the platform itself, can define what are the definition for season pass and DLC. Then there's no getaway or gray zone for the publisher and developer to try to get past to scam the money from us, the players, right? Especially for casual player, right? Because casual player, we are not so understand about how these things works. We are just okay, I buy it, oh I don't get that, and then they give one bullshit explanation, then we will just accept it, right? Because we are just casual player. We are not so really, not so into the game. We are just trying to buy the game and just play for some hours, then that's it. Then we are off the game, off the internet. But for other hardcore gamers and streamers, they play for multiple seasons. For example, like PoE and Diablo, they have multiple seasons. They are going through the same playing loop, right? So I think they need to, if the Steam can define all this for the developer, then maybe the developer still can find a loophole in the terms, but it can greatly reduce the chance of the publisher trying to scam us, the players, for the money.
dive into the details, and that's possible.
Yes,
because of today's
details, thank
sponsor,
you.
Who keep me protected online. So here's the deal.
Keep
Data
me
brokers
protection.
exist, they harvest our data any way that they can, and then they sell it. And that means we get robocalls, we get spam, and even worse, security vulnerabilities, especially the
because all this, like this few days ago, I got a lot of scam calls, and I have no idea why. But if I remember correctly, I think now I know what's the reason, because I helped my company to post a job recruitment post on Facebook, and I have my personal phone number on the recruitment post for them to send their CV to me for contact reason. So I think a lot of people trying to get all these phone numbers from all these different websites. I think Facebook is a main place, right? In Malaysia, I think Facebook is still very popular. And yeah, then my phone got into the scammers list. Then they sold my numbers to all the scammers around the fucking Malaysia. And I got scam call, like 1 week I can get scam call twice. And I would consider a lot, because before this I don't receive any scam call at all. Like zero at all. I keep my phone number relatively safe because I don't have a lot of friends, right? That's why I'm here streaming. Because I don't have a lot of friends, I don't have a lot of things to do after work, so that's why I come to stream. So yeah, so I think that's the only way I got my phone number leak out, and that's how the scammer got it.
The likes of social engineering. And when
Can this
big
help
corporate
at
data
all
leaks happen, as they often
from
do,
such?
that data often ends up with the brokers. And that's where Incogni.com/BellyTheirNews is a superpower, and it is so simple. We've actually got the legal right to have our data taken down. But that takes hours, and there's nothing stopping that data from being recollected. So what Incogni does is it scans the brokers, it automatically sends takedown requests, it adds you to suppression lists, and best of all, it constantly rescans to keep your data down. So here's my Incogni dashboard. You can see 114 sent, 8 in progress, 106 completed, and I'm on 21 suppression lists. And that means those brokers will not recollect my info. Now you can add up to 3 emails and home addresses as well, and the upshot is simple. Your data not being spread around without your knowledge or your consent. And I've actually not had a single robocall since I started with them. Incogni means you can actually benefit from the laws that actually exist to protect you but are normally completely unusable. And you can get 60% off an annual plan at Incogni.com/BellyTheirNews. Let's kick things off with a customer perspective here. So Valve have codified how these products should appear on the Steam platform, sort of in the same way as Advanced Access, where Advanced Access was a thing, it was a gray area.
Yeah, right now, all the developer can use the terms like season pass, future DLC, all in their own way, right? I think the most famous example in this few years is from Escape from Tarkov, right? Escape from Tarkov had this issue with their Unheard edition and also to Prepare for Darkness. Is that the Prepare for Darkness? I forgot. I bought the previous most expensive the package they have, and it promised future DLC. All future DLC is somehow like a season pass, right? But then they remove it, and then they call the Tarkov Arena is not a DLC, and then they call the PvE. The PvE mode is not an DLC, not a DLC, and that's where it got muddy, right? Because they can just define the term DLC themselves, DLC and patch. Then that's where the developer and the publisher can muddy the water to scam the gamers out for more money.
Area, and then Valve said, hang on a second, we should
Advanced
actually have a
access.
clear label and a clear system so that people know what's going on.
Wait. So advanced access is a pre-purchase incentive. Okay, pre-purchase. So the game is not out, but it's already out for you for advanced access, okay? So it's not prepared for a full launch, but you can buy it to get a advanced access, in which customers that pre-purchased a deluxe package of your game are given access to the game earlier than customer than pre-purchase. Oh, they differentiate between deluxe and standard. So standard pre-purchase will not get advanced access, but deluxe package can. Deluxe buyer can. Okay. So it's like for right now, I think our example is PoE 2. Wait, PoE 2 standard, you also can get early access. So how does that work? Because if it's a full launch for PoE 2, it's a free to play game, but right now you need to pay for standard edition for advanced access. But that's standard. But maybe because it's free to play, then it's still considered a deluxe.
So from now on, before the purchase of a season pass, products must clearly detail these things. A complete list of all DLC included in the pass, so a listing for each of the four DLCs that are included. There must be a basic description of the content included in each pass. Valve says, and by the way, I'm reading their policy document here. For example, the first content release might be the Glitterlands expansion, new area to explore, 2 new weapons and new enemies. Valve's document goes on to say it's not required for DLC to have a final name at the launch of the season pass. They say that information about the content in the DLC doesn't need to be detailed, so you can just say as a developer, new weapons or 2 new weapons or new
they
zone.
just need to
that
give
you don't have to list
the buyer have a general guess of what is going to
say, and this is where it gets big,
what they are going to get.
Expected release date for each DLC. Quarter and year, i.e. January to March 2020.
Expected release date for each DLC, quarter and year. Or season per year. So does this mean each season in Diablo, in PoE, in Apex Legends, in all this game that with the Battle Pass is considered a DLC, then they must have 3 months at least for each season?
25 or season/year is acceptable. Of course, a date that's more precise is also fine. As an example, just any specific date in the year. And then there's a bit that I think is huge, right? A product must have at least one of its constituent DLCs actually released whenever it is offered. So that means that a season pass cannot be sold in such a way that if you buy the season pass, that's it. Right, there's no content right now. All that you've done is pre-ordered a bunch of future DLCs. That's actually not going to be allowed. Now, that being said, pre-orders of a deluxe edition of a game do get their own specific carving out in the rules. So obviously Valve aren't going to publishers and saying, hey guys, no more deluxe editions, because that would lose all of the money, right? So we'll have to treat that as a separate thing, but there's an other rule that is massive for us as gamers, as customers. Steam are codifying that if any listed DLC is cancelled, Valve will mandate refunds for the comparative value of the cancelled DLC to customers. Now, this is really good because look,
great move by Steam. Customer can get refund for unreleased DLC. If Escape from Tarkov was released, if Escape from Tarkov is released on Steam, right? They are beyond cooked. Because at the time I bought the game, there's no DLC at all. But they already selling they sold me the season pass. They will be cooked right now, and even now I don't think they have any. They only have the PvE mode as a DLC, and I don't consider PvE mode as a DLC. Like, come on, fucking game.
Of the cancelled DLC to customers. Now, this is really good because look, generally there would be some form of refund if a plan changed substantially, but the thing that actually matters is, can you trust that refund? Is it backed up by Valve's own rules? Here it is going to be
here
backed
it
up by
is
those
yes
rules, and
yes
that matters. Now what we can do is take a look at some recent video games to see
yes example. I like examples.
Who fails. The devil is always in the details. So,
Diablo
Star Wars
4
Outlaws
Diablo
came out and
Star
it
Wars
does actually
okay.
pass. The reason why is that
I really don't understand about this game because I know it sucks and I don't know any about its season pass or DLC, so I think it's a very good look at it.
Of the expected dates,
right now.
There are clear expectations for the content, and there's a full list of everything that
I think they always come with a first day DLC. Am I right? So I think they got that part fall within the Steam new rules, but their future DLC I'm not so sure. Like here, the Story Pack 1 and Story Pack 2, are they out yet? Are they even out yet?
Then we've got Space Marine 2.
Space Marine, okay.
The new test. Again, it's got all of the detail, even though they are just describing the cosmetic pack contents in generic terms.
Okay, alright.
But then
They're
we've got
doing a
Tekken
good
8.
job.
It actually fails the test. It violates Valve's rules.
What?
Now, Tekken 8
How?
came under a hell of a lot of criticism from fans because of what is actually in its season pass. Now, actually, that's not why they failed the test here. Obviously, you're allowed to sell a season pass that's shit as long as it complies with the rules. But what they don't comply with is that while there is detail of the content available that fits Valve standards, there's no time frame, right? No time frame for delivery, and Valve are not letting developers sell undated promises in their store anymore.
Time frame
Then
is
we've got
important
Stalker
now.
2, which sadly
Makes sense.
fails on all counts.
Makes
here,
sense.
actually. The only thing that they describe whenever you purchase the Ultimate Edition is, quote, Season Pass guaranteeing 2 additional expansions.
Okay,
and any
I don't think
future
this
DLC.
can get
Now,
the
of course,
pass from
detail-wise,
Steam.
Steam has left enough slack here so that as long as each DLC is labeled with new weapons, new enemies, new map, that would be acceptable. And that does mean that most
That's
developers
quite
are
easy.
likely going to be fine on that front. And
Just every time you say DLC, just list out you have new enemies, new weapons, new map, new voice line. Just list out every new thing you will, all the minute thing you will get in the DLC. Then it will make the DLC looks very promising, and then it will also get a pass from Steam.
for the developers of Stalker 2, well, they basically just need to get their ducks in the row so that they are in compliance with this. Of course, I'll definitely say, on a personal level, I mean, I know that Stalker 2 has came out, it's had performance issues and all of that, but my god, like, very few games are developed in the, broader environment that Stalker 2 was developed in, so I'm absolutely going to cut those guys some slack. I mean, I think it's only fair. So obviously, in the topic of release dates, there's a reason why most announcements have got the legal ease of, quote, dates subject to change, right, in the small print. So Valve are not going to be completely ruthless with developers here. They are giving developers flexibility to allow for delays and development problems because, well, Valve are also game developers. I'm pretty sure they understand that keeping to a development timetable is is hard.
It's
They run
hard,
in Valve
yes.
time, so they take that into account, but they do have rules and punishment. So here it is. If developers cannot make the 3-month window that they set for their DLC, they are allowed to move that DLC to the next 3-month window. But if it's anything more than that, they can't do it in the Steam backend. They can't click a button. They need to negotiate it with Valve, right?
Yeah, I think this is why Steam can manage Steam, and personally, me myself cannot manage a Steam because I only try to think for the customer, but I never think for the developer. Right now, Steam is trying to take care of both sides, right? So they want the customer to get what they promised and what they paid for, and also they don't want so many stress on the developer, so they're willing to give the developer some slack by giving them some time to delay their promise. Like for example, DLC 3 months, they can delay up to 3 months. So I think that's why Steam is Steam, and I am not Steam. I never think of that.
So they basically need to get a meeting with the principal and explain themselves. And if that DLC is delayed past the 3-month point, even if no customer has complained to them, then Valve will actually consider action. And of course, that is action that, will hurt the developer's bottom line. That means that there are clear consequences. Valve's framing to developers and publishers is...
I think it makes sense. Even if no one is complaining about the delay for the release of the DLC, Steam still need to take some action because they need to be strict on their rules. They can't do the rules like Twitch enforce their rule on a case-by-case basis. They need to be strict on their rules. They cannot do it case by case. If they do it case by case, right, you can see an example from Twitch. Now they are facing a lot of issues, a lot of problems around on their platform about the ads, about, I don't know, like I have no idea whether the apocalypse is true or not, but for me it feels like Twitch really has a lot of problem because of their unfair treatment to certain streamers, right? So I think Steam is correct in this part.
Is clear. A season pass is a commitment to future releases, and it's one that they want as a contract. Here's a quote. If you aren't ready to clearly communicate about the content included in each DLC and when each DLC will be ready for launch, you shouldn't offer a season pass on Steam. So if a 6-month window for release isn't enough, Valve will actually consider that to be a breach of contract between developers, Valve, and customers, and as a punishment, they will actually take action. Here are Valve's punishments. The season pass may be removed from sale. They also say all unreleased content may be refunded, or customers may get the option of a refund for the whole pass.
So this part I'm not so sure because the developer or publisher, right, they make season pass that promise the customer access for future DLC. In return, they get an advance payment from the customer to develop all those DLCs. But if the developer or publishers can't fulfill that promise, then Steam is going to refund the unreleased DLC, right? But will Steam withhold the payment, the release of payment to the developer for the unreleased DLC? Like, for example, you promise 4 DLCs in your season pass. Then you release 2 DLCs. Yes, you fulfill half the promise. But then the another half of the promise, the future 2 DLCs, you never release it. So how Steam is going to refund the money to the customer? Do they need to like withhold the release of the payment to the developer first so that they can refund this money when this happens, when the DLC is not released? So I think there's a lot of things they need to change. I think all the contract they need to do with the developer and publisher, they need to change a lot of a lot of shit. Need to change a lot of the release of the payment, all the wording, everything. They need to change the agreement, I bet.
Pass. And the same will actually apply if the season pass hasn't released for 1 year as well. And the ultimate point here is that customers will not lose out because a developer cannot meet their promises. Of course, promises the developer has sold to a customer. That to a lot of developers will sting. It will feel harsh.
Maybe,
but you know what? This industry has been damaged so much by commitments to players just being fast and loose and not being respected. And that's why games discussion and culture is such a flipping mess these days. So let's talk about games that will fail this criteria.
And that's why gamers nowadays flip so fast on publisher and developer. Just because you make one fuck up, then you lose all the most of the trust from the hardcore gaming community. I'm not sure about casual, right? Because what I know is hardcore gamer is really, they really want their money worth it. So because they are in this industry, right? So they are very sensitive to all this kind of issue, the distrust, everything. So nowadays, I think it's even after the coronavirus, right? After 2022, all this thing is become a very sensitive thing. The gamers are very sensitive to whether the developer or publisher care about their product, care about their game. Are they trying to make a game fun for the customer? Like for this year, 2024, if you see all the AAA release, right? How many of them are actually good? Like more than 50% of them are they flop hard, right? Star Wars Outlaw, and then in the December, Assassin's Creed Shadow. Like what the fuck are these? Concord. All these AAA titles, they are not made for the gamers. They are made for the investor to see. They to see that this game can sell. They probably can sell. Then the investor is very happy. But in the end, they didn't move so many units. Then the investor is not happy at all. Then that's it.
Redfall. Yeah, Redfall, remember that?
Redfall, this game
because
also.
Microsoft shut down the development studio, there was simply no plan to make the Season Pass DLC. Now, obviously, Microsoft did offer refunds there, but it was initially unclear if that would be the case,
by
as
Microsoft
framed that a make-good offer was being worked on, which, in that case, it's got to be money, or I'm saying no. Now, then there's 10 years ago, Assassin's Creed Unity. That saw Ubisoft have their release pass removed, right? Removed from sale because of the game's launch issues, which at the very least were pretty damn funny to watch. Now, in that case, Ubisoft still did commit to releasing their DLC regardless, with all of the Season Pass owners getting that as a part of their purchase. Plus, everybody in the community actually got the first DLC, and then Season Pass holders got a free Ubisoft game to make up the cost. So that was them trying to navigate the situation. But obviously here, with Valve, well, a developer doesn't just get to say, take this instead. No, it's got to be what you promised, or else Gabe's giving people their money back. And speaking of development shit shows, we gotta talk about City Skylines 2. City Skylines 2
City Skylines 2
Waterfronts completely meets all the criteria for listing a Season Pass product on Steam, right? They have got clear descriptions of what the content is, actually far more detail than is even required, and they do have clearly marked dates for, the initial sale of it. As an example, right, the Bridges and Ports DLC was marked as releasing in Q2 of 2024. However, the astute among you may notice that it's actually Q4 of 2024 right now, and that expansion has not released. In fact, in February, to ensure wider game stability, it was updated to have a release window of Q2 2025, which I will say
that's more than
is
3
what
months.
that developer should have done. Because look, if your foundations are absolutely shot through, destroyed, what business have you got building something on it? No, you got to fix the real problem first.
Yep.
But you can't have it both ways. And so in doing that, you should hand people their money back with a plan
Yeah,
to
so
earn it
Steam
back
will
later.
refund
And this actually
the
means that
season
what
pass
they've done in
money
City
back
Skylines
to the
2
customers.
would land squarely within Steam's policy of being more than 12 months since the intended release date if it doesn't hit by then. Now, the reasons why the DLC is delayed is obviously that stuff that we've covered in a lot of detail here, and I think broadly everyone watching this video understands they've got to fix the real problem first. I mean,
Yeah, I heard
don't
there's a
sell
lot of
people stuff
performance
when the
issue
thing they've
on
already
launch.
got is shit. But the problem of a season pass is that many people have already paid for that DLC. And so if we take a look at Valve's rules, guess what? You gotta give some of that money back. That's going to sting, but guess what? It is goddamn right. And because Valve are the biggest marketplace in PC gaming, well,
Yeah.
they are setting the terms of the market.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why Steam can do such a, how do I say? That's why Steam can do such a big move, right? A big move on the rules about this all kind of season pass that after the game launch, the only way the developer can make more money on the game, all the DLCs and season pass. And because Steam is the biggest platform in the world to sell games, and they can set a tone for all the developer, and then maybe also to other platforms. Maybe not Epic Games. I don't think Epic Games will follow what Steam does in their platform, right? Because you know the reason. Epic Games, China. But Steam, I think Steam can set the tone, set the cornerstone, right? Cornerstone for other platforms to follow the same rules. Because if other smaller platform, if they don't follow the same stuff Steam is doing, right, they will be left out of the market because Steam has a better customer experience, and other platform, if they don't follow suits of this kind of rules, then they are fucked. Just for example is iPhone, right? If iPhone did something, other phones, other Android phones, all of them will follow the same. They will just do the same stuff. Like for example, Apple phone no longer provide a charging block when you purchase a new iPhone. And when iPhone can get away with it, even though it's not good for the consumer, but it's the same logic, right? If they can get away with it, then the Samsung or all the other phone company will just follow. If they don't follow, then they will be left out, because if iPhone can sell this product with lower cost but same price, they are earning more. Their profit margin is higher. If Android phone or the Samsung, Huawei, if they don't follow this, what Apple did, right, they will lose out on the extra profit margin what Apple already earned. So that's why they need to follow what the market trend is doing.
They are drawing a red line about what is acceptable. A lot of developers are going to, I think, look at this and say, right, in spirit, as a developer of games, a player of games, this is really good. But they will then think about the currently broken funding model of video games, which is completely biased towards publishers, is completely biased against developers, and they will be fearful. And in their fear, they may lash out a bit, right? They may be worried because it's their livelihood. But bad things have to stop, and a company that cannot keep to its promises should go under. At the top of this video, I highlighted that other changes Valve made have very much been responding to things. I mean, hell,
like, if a company that can keep scamming the gamers and they can still survive, it's not a good thing for the market, right? Because they keep scamming and they still survive, then they make more games to scam the money out of more players. Then if they can still survive, then other stupid motherfucker, they will just follow what they did. They will just also make games, scam people out of their money, and then they just do it, rinse and repeat. Then when enough of this kind of developer are on the market is fucked. Right? if you follow the logic. Because if you don't need to make a good game in order to profit, then who is going to make a good game? Like right now, the past few years, the developer and the publisher can get by with making a shitty AAA game and profit out of them. And that's why they are keep making these shitty AAA games. And why they make shitty AAA games? Because the fanboy keep buying them. They keep shilling out their money, their hard-earned cold cash to all this kind of company. That's why you can't really see a lot of good AAA game on the market now.
Even take a look at Steam's industry-leading refund policy. That happened because of Australia. So I suppose for once in video games, thanks Australia. Because if you're an Australian gamer, there was a long time where if you wanted an 18-rated game, the government weren't going to let you have it. But on reflection, what I said at the start of this video isn't actually right. There is no outside force from a big authority. No government saying,
I don't think there's no outside force.
No senator getting up in, I don't know, the Senate and saying, season passes are messing up gamers. That's not happening. While it's not coming from an authority, Valve absolutely are motivated by an external force. And that external force is bad behavior. And do you know what matters here? It's not a slap in the wrist. It's a clear financial punishment. I don't know if this turn of phrase exists in your country, but you know, we would over here in Northern Ireland call someone a bit of a chancer, you know, if they were sort of wheeling and dealing, you know, being a wee bit cheeky. Publishers have often been like that. They've been planning to sell you something and taking the money early, and they don't always deliver, or it's not always the spec. That's damaged the hobby that we love, and it has normalized bad behavior.
Yeah, and you know why they keep doing that? You know why they keep selling you promises but never deliver? Because you guys the fucker keep buying the games.
Such that soon people will just expect shit. They will expect to be treated badly. That has got to end. And the only way to make it end is clear financial punishment. This will lose devs money, it will lose publishers money, and I am
when they
happy
got
about
hurt
that, actually. I think it is good.
Monetary, then they will realize they are doing something
clear.
wrong.
Incentives matter, delivery matters, execution matters. At the end of the day, if you plan to sell a video game with a season pass, and then you cock up the video game and you cock up the season pass, you know what? The market should punish you such that you may actually go under, because that's the entire goddamn point. Bad companies should die, because all they are doing is trading surviving off bad behavior, what I suppose economists might call like rent-seeking behavior, or the sort of thing where, if you've ever heard of the concept of an unpriced negative externality, that is the shit that they thrive on. That's what my spirit, my soul says. But I'm also a pragmatist, right? There is another incentive.
I think I also can give another example about this kind of stuff, right? Because it's just because of the reward for your action. So if you did action A and you got reward because you did action A, you are going to keep doing action A. Like for example, you see the infamous, I don't know where he streamed right now. The new platform Party, Jack Doherty, he streamed on the platform right now. So why he is still being a jackass on the stream, on everywhere? Because that's what makes him famous and money, and that's why his action is enforced by the reward, the fame and the money, and that's why he keeps doing that. And it's the same for the developer like Ubisoft. It's the same thing, because their shitty action is rewarded.
Here, you know the way sometimes you design a system to incentivize a certain behavior, but you can accidentally have the opposite effect? Well, publishers may end up having
let's go back.
a choice here. Do they release a broken DLC for money? Money, of course, that they've, probably already taken because it's a season pass. Will they just put that out to hit Valve's deadline to dodge Valve's, refunds and stuff?
Saying,
what if... Okay, if we don't release this DLC, a massive amount of refunds will happen. and we'll be in a lot of trouble? Or do we
Why
just
the quality
shoot it out
doesn't
right
meet
now,
the
accept that we're going to
expectation?
get shit reviews, but you know what? That's fine, because they already bought the season pass, and if we put out some slop, it'll be slop, but at least it will comply with the letter of the law, if not the spirit of the law.
Very good
I absolutely
point.
can't wait to see the ramifications of this. And next, I have another video for you, right? FromSoft, Sony want to purchase the company that owns 70%.
Yeah, but I think Steam will be cooking something right now, right? About if you're trying to dodge the rule by release a slop DLCs. I think Steam is cooking. Steam is going to let Steam cook.
Of FromSoft shares. It is a gargantuan story. It's actually one where the leaks have been confirmed, and I think it matters to all of us because this is the Elden Ring developer, the Armored Core developer.
Yeah, if Sony own From Software, what will happen? Well, I think all the Elden Ring enjoyer will be very happy because you're going to get Elden Ring 2, Elden Ring 3, Elden Ring 4, Elden Ring 1 remake. Or maybe Elden Ring 1 side stories. I think you guys should be happy, right? All the Elden Ring enjoy, you guys should be very happy if Sony buy From Software, because you're going to get Elden Ring 2, 3, and 4.
Something bad happens to them, it would truly be a loss. So check it out next. Thanks to today's sponsor, and I'll see you over there.
Yeah, right. So I think Steam is moving in the correct direction, and and also what Belula said is true. Steam is not reacting to external force, right? External factor. It's just because they think this is what good for the consumer. I hope it is. That's what they think. They think this is a good move for the consumer. That's why they're trying to cook. They are cooking all these different new rules to define what's a season pass, what's a DLC, and that's very good for the consumers. And I hope they can do a lot more steps in this direction.